In the time it takes you to actually board that flight from Group 8,
Now boarding Premier Altitude Elite Club members.
you could have bought a Hyundai on Amazon. Yes, that Amazon, where you buy everything else.
Mid-tier Altitude Elite, feel free to board now.
So while you're waiting for them to make up new boarding groups, you can order your dream car and the dealer will have it ready in no time.
Now boarding groups 1 through 7.
So close. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. Limited availability, pickup through participating Hyundai dealer in select markets.
Cannot divide us. A president must unite us.
I think it's important to lend our voice to voices all across the country to point out the excesses that President Trump is trying to impose upon the United States.
Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed, one more week before he goes on summer break, but he made time for us. He's in studio for the full half hour.
Holding the powerful accountable from Washington, D.C. to right here in southern New England. This is 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Gene Valicenti. This is 10 News Conference. My guest in studio for the full half hour, Senator Jack Reed, no stranger to this studio. Senator, welcome back.
Thanks, Gene.
You need no introduction.
Well, likewise.
Before we get into the specific, we could do 3 hours today, topic after topic. You know, this Senate is not the Senate of Senator Pell, Senator Chafee, or Jack Reed, the freshman senator, when you first started. It's changed. You have senators now. By the way, you don't have to look too far. They use foul language. Drop the F-bombs all the time. You have others who put on a high school drama performance, some who walk out. Senator, do you realize how this plays to the people at home? And do you still have the appetite for more of this?
The cuisine was much better years ago, Gene.
Okay.
But I still have the appetite, of course. But yes, I think what's happened is there's been a lessening of the customs and courtesies in the Senate. You know, people showing up with no ties on, no coats on, et cetera. Hoodies. Oh, yes, hoodies, etc. Yep. And the curse words. I think what's driving it now is a media change. A lot of my colleagues are trying to get on either MSNBC or Fox, and to do that, you have to be argumentative. You have to say things that are beyond the pale. Whereas in the old days, frankly, with C-SPAN, there was not a lot of people watching us, so we basically were much more able to ask real questions and be responsible. But the whole tone and the whole sense of custom and courtesy has going down quite a bit.
Your colleague, Senator Murphy from Connecticut, he's well known for dropping a lot of colorful language. I'll just leave it at that. And your colleague from Massachusetts, Senator Markey, he had this to say to me not that long ago, talking about rising up in the streets. Let's listen to that, and then you can continue this conversation before we get to specifics. And this is, by the way, this is not you.
No,
this is them, but let's listen, Senator.
He's trying to usurp the power of the Congress and the judiciary in order to act as a king. King Donald, not King George, which is why we need a revolution in order to once again reassert the principles that we have a separation of power.
What do you mean? The only way to replace him is impeachment, revolution, replacement. Is that what you're talking here?
I'm talking about people rising up.
We're not shrinking violence here in Rhode Island, right? We should remind them the Gatsby days. We know about revolution.
We started the revolution.
But is it time? You're an elder now in the party, Senator. And by the way, actually, you're a junior because some of them are way.
Yes,
been a long time.
I know. Okay. That's the only place in the world I can feel like a kid. Yeah.
Is this time for you and the others to say, "Whoa, well, this is not playing well at home"? Cursing and yelling and uprising in the streets.
I really get uncomfortable when I hear that. Because you're right, there was a standard of decorum and debate, but what's happened is the fragmentation and the polarization of the country is also reflected in the U.S. Senate. A lot of the newer members come in as strong adherents of MAGA, and therefore they carry these messages. And then on the other side, it's both sides, it's not one side. On the other side, there's this real sense of constitutional crisis, and I think there is the constitutional crisis. The remedy, though, is to motivate the American people to speak out, to take positive actions, to vote, to understand the issues. The strength of our country is our people, and we have to engage them, not in a violent way, but in a very important political way.
You've been diplomatic all your career, so I'm going to pick out of everything you just said. Senator Reid says he's uncomfortable with the tenor and tone of the Senate these days. Would that be a fair headline?
That would be fair. Exactly.
Okay.
That would be fair.
Yeah. And what do we do about it? Anything? Or you can't do anything about it?
No,
trying to say it left.
I think what we have to do basically is look at some of the simple things, the rules of the Senate. When I arrived, if you weren't there, a male senator with a coat and tie, now people come to the door in all sorts of outfits.
Fetterman in hoodies and shorts.
Yeah, and that should be, no, you have to come and vote. We can change that internally, and I think we have to do that. At hearings, questions, you have to be respectful of witnesses. You have to set that tone.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be a conscious sort of, on both sides of the aisle, coming together and say, we want to change the tone.
Do you feel comfortable saying, hey, Fetterman, where's the suit and tie? No more shorts. And Murphy, knock it off with the colorful language, which I'm giving him. That's like colorful. He uses the real words. Markey, uprisings in the street. Do you feel?
Well, there is a reluctance, frankly, to criticize in those ways your colleagues.
Okay.
That's why I've said I think the best thing to do is to make rules. So you're not criticizing the colleague for being himself or herself. You're basically saying, listen, the rules do not allow you to please follow the rules. And it will give, like chairman of committees, more responsibility to remind people, for example, that you cannot say those words.
Okay. So Reid, uncomfortable with tenor and tone, says rules should be changed.
Yes.
Will introduce, will move to, do I finish
Will suggest strongly to the Rules Committee and the caucus. What happens essentially was rules of the Senate are adopted by the whole Senate, but they're proposed by the majority party. And so you work with colleagues, and there are some colleagues on the other side that feel the same way as I do.
Okay, interesting. Senator, when we come back, you were pretty tough on Pete Hegseth.
Yes.
You may have been the toughest on him, as I recall. But we'll get to that right after this. I'm going to ask you if he's done a good job so far with the first major military operation under his belt, the bombing of the Iraqi nuclear. Stay with us.
Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
Oh, Senator, I just saw you. You're in that animated open over there, holding the powerful accountable.
Oh, my God.
I don't know how far we're going to get with that, but
well, we'll try.
You held Pete Hegseth accountable even before he became Secretary of Defense. You went after him. I remember. You questioned his fidelity, infidelity. You said that's national security risk. You came out and said you're the wrong guy. You're not qualified. This is basically a joke. Do you still feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the feeling is shared by many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and indeed, I think there's some disquiet even in the White House with his performance.
Now, his first real operation is under his belt, the bombing of the nuclear facility in Iran. As far as I know, that went off start to finish correctly. Do you give them any credit for that? They got there, they dropped the bombs, they came back.
Well, you have to give credit to the Secretary of Defense for a successful operation, but I would say the key to the success was the military personnel, the intelligence personnel, and also we have been planning that attack probably for 10 years. We, in fact, built those special bombs years ago for that very purpose of hitting that site. So the Air Force, the CENTCOM commander had been practicing and preparing that for years. But you can't, don't take away the fact.
Okay. Does that surprise you? You were tough on him.
No. Here's the problem, which, and I think my observations have proven correct. First of all, there's chaos in the Department of Defense. It's not a well-organized and well-run operation. Right. Two, what we're seeing, for example, with the interruption of supplies to Ukraine, he did that without informing the President of the United States, which is a huge mistake because the President's policy was completely different. So when you have a Secretary of Defense who I think not through desire, but just failure to connect, failure to think through these problems, that does something so serious to our diplomacy potentially, that's a grave mistake. his first outing in NATO, my colleague Roger Wicker, the Republican chairman of the committee now, said basically, well, he made a rookie mistake, which is obvious because he was a rookie. You don't put rookies into the Secretary of Defense's job.
And the rookie mistake would also be, in fairness to you, having the highly secret planning of an operation on a social media post.
Absolutely.
Is there any news on that, by the way?
What happened, Senator Wicker and I requested the Inspector General, the acting Inspector General of the Department of Defense, to conduct an investigation. He is doing that right now. I'm not privy to the investigation. I don't want to be premature, but from my experience as a military officer, and everyone I talk to has any experience, leaking secret information or very sensitive information like that is wrong. In fact, we had a young National Guardman from Massachusetts who's got 7 years in prison now for letting that information out.
Is leak the right word? It was sloppy, I think, by all accounts.
It was completely sloppy. It was not...
he didn't deliberately leak it.
He did not deliberately leak it, but again, you cannot mention that type of information on anything but a fully classified line or in a fully classified skiff, they're called.
Where are we going with this? Are you going to step it up? You going after Hegseth?
I think I'm trying to work with the Department of Defense to defend the United States. What I think is happening, though, is that a lot of my colleagues are realizing his limitations. And I think the White House, as I said, is also realizing his limitations.
Okay, let's go to the hot spots, and we'll just do 30 seconds on each. Our time is limited, unfortunately. Let's go to Ukraine and Zelensky and Russia. This week, Putin is on the outs with the president. A couple of weeks ago, it was Zelensky, the opposite. Where is this thing? It's fallen off the front page.
It's fallen off the front page, but it's still very critical to us. The Ukrainian people are fighting our fight, basically, because if they lose, then other European countries, I think, will be in the view of Putin. And in addition, the Chinese will take away from it the fact that we just don't stick to a difficult fight. So we are now, and the president has changed completely. Now we're trying to get supplies to the Ukrainians. They will fight to the bitter end, and we have to do more to help them.
Senator, I'll defer to you, but do you really see Putin eyeing Poland or any of the NATO countries? Ukraine is not.
I see him eyeing the Baltic countries, which are NATO countries. I see him conducting operations already in Europe, sabotage, attacks in Europe. And I see the European countries. The country most concerned about the success in Ukraine is Poland, because they are members of NATO and they are concerned.
The layman might say he can't take Ukraine. He's going to go after Poland. Isn't that just
the point is?
Not, I don't want to say scare tactics, but isn't that a little bit of
it's not scare. If he takes Poland, if we do not support the Ukrainians, and if he takes Poland or effectively takes it, controls all the country he wants, etc., he will turn immediately to much softer targets like the Baltics, but ultimately put economic, political pressure, try to upset Poland internally by exploiting their political process.
You gave credit to Pete Hegseth in that particular attack?
Yes.
Do you give the president credit for bringing NATO to the table with more money than they've ever given, 5% now?
I give him credit, but I think...
European countries contributing to NATO 5%, upping the ante.
I give credit, but frankly, the rationale for their increased spending is their fear of Russia, and their also fear that the United States will not come to their support, that we will not follow Article 5 of NATO. And they're in the mode of self-protection now. So it's not just the cajoling of the president. That has been a factor. But I think the real factor is that they don't think we're going to be there to help them.
So that's a yes, but qualified.
Very much qualified.
Okay.
Very much qualified.
And before we go to break, just quickly, about a minute, on Gaza. The ceasefire is off. You and I are taping on a Friday. It kind of fell apart yesterday. You are still supportive of Israel?
Well, I am, but you have to be critical of people you support when they are conducting operations in a way that harms so many civilians. They have national security issues that they must protect. They must protect the people of Israel. I was in Jerusalem 7 days after the attack by Hamas, it was devastating to the people of Israel and to the whole Jewish community throughout the world. But now we're at a point where they have to be much more sensitive to providing basic subsistence to the people of Gaza, to create a situation of stability, and also think about the transition. Where are they going? Where is the world community going?
Do you reject the word genocide? It's applied liberally to Israel by certain quarters.
Yeah, it's applied too liberally. But again, I think I would suggest that there are humanitarian needs that must be fulfilled under international law.
All right, we'll take a quick break. This will lead us nicely to a conversation about your alma mater, Harvard. One of them.
Okay.
One of them.
One of them.
One of them. And anti-Semitism at Harvard and Columbia, and then we'll talk about the big, beautiful bill and other items of importance. Senator Reid. Resuming with Senator Reid. Senator, you went to Harvard Law, correct?
Yes.
West Point, Harvard Law. Your university is under attack. The president says it's anti-Semitic. By the way, he just won one against Columbia. Columbia's going to write a check, $220 million, to settle this, and so they could resume their federal funding. Does the president have any merit in these charges against Harvard, Columbia, some of the other Ivies he's going against?
Well, I think the methods he's using are entirely wrong. If there are serious issues of anti-Semitism, and I won't discount that, it has to be investigated, looked at, and changes have to be made. I know the president of Harvard, who is a very decent person, and was working hard to make sure the university complies with all the rules. But what he's doing really is, in a way, he is threatening them so much that he's extorting money. I mean, I hate to say this, but the other thing that is so crippling to Harvard and to many other universities is cutting back on the National Institute for Health money. He is undercutting the research foundation of the United States. Knowledge is power. And frankly, I think that he's letting that power slip away to the Chinese because their universities are still functioning at 100 miles per hour.
Well, he's saying you're flush with cash. Harvard, $52 billion, billions floating all around. And you've been anti-Semitic, and you've been too liberal for far too long. And he's the guy. Listen, this is resonating with half the country.
With half the country, but again, too liberal, that's a perception. Harvard, I've been there. Frankly, it's interesting because I have a lot of very conservative Republican colleagues that graduated from Harvard Law School.
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz, yes. Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
So Harvard produces these very liberal, left-wing crazies. No. It's a place of intellectual discovery. And there's the right, the left, the center. And that's what our education system should be. And he's really attacking it for reasons that I think are very personal and very petty, not for those he talks about.
Do you see the same thing with the CBS deal? CBS wrote the check, $30 million,
yeah.
16 for him, 16 in free advertising, and the deal closes?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Reading about the case, most prominent attorneys who were interviewed say, CBS has a very strong case, et cetera. I think the merger, Paramount, et cetera, I think the merger was the key. They wanted it done.
Isn't that just business? Don't we settle cases all the time to make it go away? Isn't that as a lawyer, right?
Well, we do settle cases, but we usually don't settle cases because the President of the United States has a personal interest in it, i.e. he will make $16 million, and he also have other collateral effects. I mean, again, this also goes to his whole approach. What President of the United States has established a currency that he benefits from, his Bitcoin, and then passes legislation that will shape the whole industry and will be the final arbiter of the rules and regulations. The conflicts are just astounding.
Let me just insert this here. Have you met with the president since he's back?
No, I've not, no.
Do you have anything scheduled with him?
No, I mean, he's not particularly eager, I think, to go up and meet with anybody other than his own select group. It's not as it was even in the first administration, where he would come and talk to us as a group. I had one session in the cabinet room. We were talking about a reaction to Iranian provocations, but no.
Any phone? No phone calls. Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No.
All right. Let's move to the big, beautiful bill. It
Yes.
passed. It was turmoil. It was torture to get it passed, but it's out. And the risk, according to your party, is Medicaid will be cut. Now, the president says, no, hold on. I'm going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. The states will not be getting as much money as they received passed because they won't need it. And if you guys want to pick up the tab, then you get state dollars. Is that your understanding of the argument?
Well, that's the argument he's going to make. But the reality is that there are already projections that 47,000 Rhode Islanders will lose their Medicaid coverage.
He will say they don't belong to begin with.
Well, he's wrong. 57% of adults on Medicaid are working. That's not fraud and abuse. And if it was fraud and abuse, what you should do is improve the system in terms of identifying people who are qualified, who are not qualified. That is a ruse. What they're doing is taking away coverage from really critically ill people. You've got children who depend upon Medicaid. Is that fraud and abuse? No. That's helping families that have a child who's in very serious condition just get by. This is going to be devastating. And by the way, before we even see the Medicaid cuts, we're going to see our insurance premiums going up dramatically, private insurance. There's going to be a lot of people who are working and buying their own insurance that suddenly say, I can't afford it. They'll lose coverage.
Let's move to Social Security. Most people on Social Security are going to see a bigger refund when they file their taxes because of the big, beautiful bill and the $4,000 extension on the exemptions, Senator. But have you started collecting Social Security?
Yes, I have.
Yet? You have?
Yeah.
You're going to see more money in your refund at the end. Isn't that a good thing? Doesn't that undermine the Democratic argument against that he's going to cut? He's not going to cut.
Well,
you're going to get more.
First of all, their argument is Social Security is not taxed. That's wrong. Social Security will be included in your income. But you're right, there is a deduction. It's estimated that half of the people over 65 will qualify for that deduction, and they will get some savings. But this notion he's trying to promote is that Social Security is no longer taxed is absolutely wrong.
His original premise was, I'm not going to tax you federally on Social Security. That did not make it to the bill, but the larger exemption did,
yes,
and that will help. Half of the population is going to get a bit more money in the end.
It will help, but it's not the elimination, as he said, of Social Security being taxed.
Well, I would say, what have other people done for you? At least he's giving you a couple of bucks more in your pocket.
Yeah.
Do you want to give him credit for that with a caveat?
What other people have done as basically fully funded Medicaid, fully funded SNAP program, which is nutrition for children and others. They've actually invested in the communities, and they've given people a better life.
I know, but we did move on to Social Security. Yeah. You will be getting probably a larger refund.
I don't know.
More money in your pocket.
I don't know. I'll have to have the tax people figure that out. There are limits of salary, upper limits, and then there are other people who have no tax obligation at all, so the deduction will not help them, or the refund will not help them.
All right, let's take full circle. We were talking about how the Senate has changed. Your party is changing. This is James Carville. Put up the quote. He really laid into the party, and he was a loyalist, right? Put up the full screen. This is your Democratic Party in shambles, steamrolling toward a civilized civil war. It's necessary to have it, even more necessary to delay it. The only thing that can save us now is an actual savior, because a new party can be delivered only by a person. See Barack Obama in 2008, Bill Clinton in 1992. Wow. I'll give you the last word. We've got a minute left, Senator. You agree with that? You have a savior anywhere?
That resonates, because I'm thinking back now in 1992 when we were in similar kind of desperate straits. But what happened is Bill Clinton came on board, connected with the people, won the election, and oh, by the way, in 2000, I was leaving office. That's the last time we had a surplus projection. So we accomplished quite a bit.
Do you agree a party's in shambles? Just a quick yes or no.
I don't think it's, well, the Will Rogers line is great. I don't belong to an organized party. I'm a Democrat. So Will got it right.
We'll hold it there. Senator Reid, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Gene.
I think we had a good go-round today.
We did. Thank you.
Enjoy your trip back to Washington for one more week, then you're here for the summer.
Thank you.
That's 10 News Conference. Thanks for being with us. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, Protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.